For overlap welds, you will need a hot air welding tool, also called a heat gun, a 40 mm wide slot nozzle, a silicone hand roller, and a Teflon roller. You can also use a sieve nozzle, which can make overlap welding quicker by reducing the number of passes needed to complete the overlap. A wide slot nozzle will still be needed for beveling the edges. You will also need a tool to check for gaps along the seams. We took a wooden stir stick and sanded its end into a rounded convex edge. The same could be done with a wood shim or similar piece of wood or plastic. Avoid using anything rough and sharp or anything metal to prevent unintended damage to the Londeck. Here are some tips before you start. Make sure you fully read the Londeck manual so that you are completely familiar with the product and its use. It will contain additional information not necessarily shown or mentioned in this video. Practice on scrap material before trying this on installed Londeck. Do not attempt to complete the overlap weld in one pass with only the wide slot nozzle. The wide slot nozzle will require at least 2 passes. If the Londeck smokes excessively during welding, you may need to reduce the heat or move faster along the seam to prevent scorching. An overlap weld is used when Londeck is installed at exterior locations. If you are installing in a fully interior and conditioned location, please refer to our heat welding video or contact our technical department for further guidance. The following demonstration shows an overlap weld using only the wide slot nozzle. First, attach the nozzle and preheat the heat gun to between 700 and 750 degrees Fahrenheit. Insert the nozzle between the overlapped sheets and begin moving it along the seam, following right behind it with the silicone roller. Apply pressure with the roller to ensure adhesion between the 2 melted surfaces. If the sieve nozzle was used, this may be the only pass needed to complete the first step of the overlap weld. Once each pass is complete, make sure you clean the nozzle before the next pass. This will remove any residue that could impact airflow. The second pass will be performed the same as the first. With the wide slot nozzle, the first pass will typically take care of the inner half of the overlap, while the second pass will take care of the outer half. Once the second pass is complete, you will check the seam for gaps. If you are using the sieve nozzle, this check can be done after the first pass. This check is done by running the tool along the edge to see if it can penetrate the seam. Here you can see it is penetrating the entire length of the seam, so we know a third pass is required, following the same method as the previous passes. If the tool only finds random gaps or fish mouths, then you would only need to insert the nozzle in those areas and apply pressure with the roller until the seam is fully fused across its width and length. Check one final time to see if your seam is fully fused and fix any remaining gaps. Gaps or weak seams can allow moisture intrusion or lead to seam failure. The final step is to bevel the edge of the top sheet. Beveling is done by using the heat gun to melt the edge just enough to make it workable. While the edge is softened, use the Teflon roller at about a 45-degree angle to create a smoothed edge. This is primarily to provide a cleaner transition at the overlap, but it will also provide an extra layer of protection from moisture intrusion. You can adjust the gun's temperature or distance from the seam to find the optimal conditions. We find that dropping the temperature about 100 degrees Fahrenheit and being about a ½ inch from the seam is a good starting point. From there, you can then adjust the temperature up or down and change the distance as needed. You will want to avoid scorching or melting the Londeck too much. This final step of the process is the most challenging and takes practice. A shine from this process is normal and will diminish over time. Once the beveling is done, the overlap weld is complete. Please contact us if you have any questions.